All right, guys. Well, Conti decided he was going to allow me to do an opening today rather than just starting with questions. So, um, another good day. You did notice, I'll just tell you, injury front, just a quick update. Um, I didn't hear the whole thing with Trey, but he was on a maintenance rest day plan. Ty was on a maintenance rest day plan, and then Xavier Rhodes was out with an illness, not in the building today, just being precautionary with that. Second day in pads was good work, and just told the guys afterwards, the tempo of practice is what we're looking for, the speed, the physicality, and in particular, just think we're really getting good work in our one-on-one drills. We're big believers in one-on-one drills. I just think there's things that you learn in one-on-ones. You get to try certain things in one-on-ones that I think really help you learn how to play the game within the game. Those little matchups. I think one-on-ones are a big part of that. So we've had 2 good days of work on that. So very pleased with that.
All right, George Bremer.
Coach, what have you seen from Parris Campbell so far? Is he starting to look like the guy that you drafted a year ago?
Yeah, he looks strong, fast, smart, explosive, good hands, understands the offense, consistent. I mean, it's early, but that's what we're looking for from him. And so now we just need that continue to build.
Mike Chappell.
Coach, you've had these guys for whatever it is, 2.5 weeks, but two days in pads. With the younger players, Pittman and maybe more Jonathan Taylor, are you seeing things that reinforce what you thought they would be, or are you seeing more? I mean, we've noticed Jonathan Taylor doesn't mind lowering his shoulder and delivering a hit along with the speed. What have you seen from him that maybe you didn't expect, or is it reinforced?
Yeah, I think from both of those guys, we've seen things that reinforced what we saw on tape. I mean, that's not surprising. I mean, these are good players. They had a lot of good stuff on tape for us to see. And so we're seeing that here. Like you said, with Jonathan, you see his speed and power. I think even today, Jonathan had some real nice runs, really good vision. You could see really evidence of good vision today, good patience, and the speed. And, Michael, I think, has looked good as well. We've had a few mental errors with Michael, but that's normal at the wide receiver position. But, physically, we're seeing the things from Michael that you want to see in that position with where we drafted him. He's working extremely hard out here, getting a lot of good reps, a lot of good communication, with Phillip. And I think that's just going to continue to get better and better, but they both look really strong right now.
Phil B.
Hey, Coach. Thank you for your time.
You got it, Phil.
You touched on it yesterday a little bit, and I just was wondering, the thought occurred to me, you've had to deal with so much stuff this offseason. I know everybody has. Everything's been unusual. When you get on the field, when you get on the practice field, you're coaching, they're playing, is that like a 90-minute to 2-hour comfort zone where you don't have to worry about so much other stuff, and it's almost like a sanctity for you guys? That's what it felt like. It sounded like in your voice yesterday.
I mean, there's no question there is, you get out on the football field, and that's where we want to be. I mean, that's where we make our bread and butter. That's where we love being. We love, these guys are ball players. We're coaches. You love competing. Every part of the preparation is important. The meetings, the lifting, nutrition, every aspect of it is all part of the process, and it's fun in its own right. But there's nothing like being on a football field and competing. So that definitely is like a little sanctuary out there for the coaches and players. And, so it's just good to have everybody out there.
Joel Erickson.
Thank you.
Frank, with a guy like Parris, now that he's in his second year and you guys have had him for a while, does that help in terms of just knowing what he can do and putting him in those situations as opposed to when he's a rookie and you're kind of trying to test him and find out all those different things he can do?
Yeah, I think as much in Parris's particular situation, I think mentally it's, Parris is a really smart guy, but as I said before, even with Pitt, there's always an adjustment with the receivers just because there's a lot going on in the offense and a lot that you're responsible to know we have high expectations there. And that's why we always try to draft smart guys, of which Parris is one of those. But I just think he has complete command. You see the confidence break in the huddle. You can see the young receiver, the rookie receivers breaking the huddle, thinking, okay, what do I got? Where's my alignment? To Parris, it's all automatic. And that just allows his physical gifts to come forward, which obviously we all know he has many of those. So, and I just think you're seeing that in his play. Just looks very confident.
Mike Wells.
Hey, Frank, I wanted to ask you, when you took time before you became decided to start coaching, when you did time as a minister, is there any correlation on how that has helped you become a better coach, the time you spent being a minister?
Well, I think the similarities, there's a lot of similarities, but the one that comes to mind most of all is, you're just a growth mindset, right? You want to grow, you want to help people grow. So whether it was as a minister or as a coach, you're trying to encourage, push people to grow and in important matters in their life that that they want to grow in. I mean, as a minister, when you're there, if you're talking to someone, they're there because they want to grow in that area. As a football coach, what's exciting is when you get around people who have a growth mindset. And so that's why when in the football realm, it's really important to us not just to draft talented players, but players who love the game, players who love the process, who want to grow, who are humble, and who just are eager to eat that stuff up, And so I do think there is that correlation.
And then on a completely different matter, I want to ask you a question about Phillip. Obviously, you know him. You watched his film from last year with the Chargers. But now that you've had a couple days in pads, has there been anything maybe that surprised you now that you guys are having contact and hitting and everything?
And no, I mean, like you said, Mike, I know him well. So, and even since I've been with other teams, I've still continued to follow his career closely. I knew there would be the question, at his age, how is he physically? And watching the tape from last year was just very confident he was still at a very high level physically. And that's been very evident to me that, how good his body is in shape, how well he's in shape, good a shape he is in right now, his arm, still making all the throws. I don't see anything diminishing in his physical skills. And then you just get to everyone, you talk to him, everyone knows the mental side of it. He's elite there. So it's been fun to be back around him.
Stephen Holder.
Hey, Frank, speaking of Phillip, we know his history of how he's really animated during games. I'm wondering, is that evident at all in practice, or what is his practice demeanor? How he conducts himself. Is there banter with the defense, all that kind of thing? I mean, just what do you observe?
Yeah. Well, everybody knows that, or a lot of guys know that I have a quote on my desk that no man becomes suddenly different from his habits and cherished thought. And so that's certainly true of Phillip. He's that way on the practice field, in the meeting room, and on game day. And that's just part of his personality. And, we embrace that. We know that. And that's part of who he is. And we like that. Every player is different. And we say this all the time. We as a team are trying to create a culture and have a team atmosphere, but that doesn't mean there's not individual expression of the personalities and the way guys play and the way they represent themselves on the field. And Phillip certainly has a unique way of doing that, and brings a lot of energy and juice to it. So I think that'll be great for our team.
So just quick follow. So what happens after? So he threw the late pick there. I think Tavon got him. So what happens after that? Is he beating himself up? Do you hear from him, or you're still coaching? And I don't know if you talk to him. Just what happens then? What do you see from him?
It varies. Sometimes there's when it happens late, it's bad, right? Because there's not enough plays to want to get it back. But there's some little self-talk, some rough, he's pretty rough on himself. But he's just fiery. He's a fiery guy and does not like to lose, does not like to make a mistake. And that's the way he expresses it. We've talked about this as well. He's the one that said this to me, but, as much as we embrace that, he's like anybody else. You can't take that to the extreme. At some point, it becomes a distraction. And, Philip knows that. And I think he handles that well, especially as he's matured, to allow that we would say that with any player. Hey, we're all free to express ourselves, but it doesn't mean that we can do or say anything we want. We don't ever want it to become a distraction to the team or a distraction to yourself. So I think Philip manages that part as well.
Okay, we've got time for 3 more. Kevin Bowen.
Frank, it looked like you had some of the guys run after Blankenship missed. Is that part of like the whole kicking competition, or what was that?
Yeah, we have a kicking competition going where, half the team is, we're switching it up. We're just having some fun with it. 50s and above are with one kicker, and then 49 numbers and below are with the other kicker. And whoever wins the day, the other team runs. So really the idea is, because of no preseason games, just to try to create pressure. And there's no greater pressure than having to perform for your teammates and not letting them down. So we're just having some fun with it. The guys are embracing it. I do think it helps. And I think the kickers are responding to it.
Then on Toure, do you expect him to practice anytime soon?
I mean, we're hopeful. He's making good progress, and he's making good progress, and he's obviously an integral part of what we want to do, and he's been really committed to rehabbing and getting back there. So we'll just take it day by day.
Okay, Chap. Mike Chappell.
Sorry, Coach, I don't think I missed it. Did you give us an update on Kenny Moore?
Yeah, Kenny strained his groin, and he'll probably be out at least a week.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. And then George Bremer, last question.
Coach, with obviously the undrafted guys, it's tough to kind of catch your eye. I know you're watching everything. When a situation happens with like late in practice there, on 7-on-7, there was an empty spot. Phillip Rivers kind of calling for a guy, and Harris steps in. How far does that go in your evaluation? Things like that.
Everything, we say this all the time. Everything is part of the evaluation. Every little thing that you do in meeting, literally everything. So everything. So it all matters, and we like guys stepping up, filling in. It's not too big for you, mentally being able to handle it, physically being able to handle it. There's a big saying, there's always a big saying around the league. It's not too big for them. And sometimes you look for little moments. You look for little moments that really kind of show aspects and glimpses of a guy where, oh yeah, you can definitely see it's not too big for this guy. So all those little observations add up.